So today I'm going to be showing you how to create a thumbnail without wasting your precious time. This is literally the same exact process that I use every single time that I'm creating my thumbnails for my YouTube videos. And literally anybody can follow this process, whether you have design skills or not. So the first thing I do is I take a look at what videos actually do need thumbnails. So I'm literally going to create the thumbnails that I'm going to be using for this month's videos. And every single video, I create 3 thumbnails to A/B test. And if you want to know more about that, then I have a video that I made previous to this one that explains it. And I'm going to create the thumbnail for this video. So basically, it's a video about me brainwashing myself to get into camera. So this is sort of like my script. And this is my sign up board that I have like all my YouTube content in and I plan. And if I see thumbnails that I feel like really inspires me throughout the month while I'm just like on YouTube, I'll literally screenshot it and I'll put it inside of the card with, the other sort of like thumbnails. Or I'll put it in the card with the video that I think it could possibly go with. Okay, so it looks like I only have like one thumbnail in here that I thought was a good idea. So that means I'm going to have to come up with like 2 other ideas for thumbnails. Now, I do think that with this video, I do want to grab a screenshot from my video and I want to test that thumbnail out. But we're going to get one more possible thumbnail. One of the things that I do to get inspiration for my thumbnails is I literally ask ChatGPT, like, to get inspiration and to share with me what they think would be a good thumbnail. Okay, so we typed in here, I'm creating thumbnails on how I brainwash myself into being comfortable on camera. What are a few thumbnail ideas? Literally, super simple. And then it's going to spit out sort of like all these examples. Okay, it's asking me which one I prefer. So maybe we'll just go with this one. I usually don't have a preference on what it sort of like looks like. Okay, so here's a few ideas. So text, I brainwash myself. Or another text, shy, to confidence, camera confident tag. Or this changed everything. This is actually a good one. This changed everything. How are you so confident on camera? I rewired my brain. I do really like this changed everything one. I feel like that with the combination of the title that I currently have actually works really well. Okay, and then the second thing that I usually do to actually, get thumbnail inspiration is I actually type my title into YouTube to see what comes up. So we're just going to type in how I brainwash myself and to get it on camera. And you know what's crazy? ChatGPT actually told me to sort of like do this sort of thumbnail. So maybe I actually will create the thumbnail. I don't know. Because it's crazy that these are the first 2 that popped up. Okay, now we're going to go down. And then you have this one, how to be more confident on camera. 5 reasons you look bad on video. I'm not really talking about that. So how to be confident on camera. So, these aren't really camera confidence tips per se, so I don't think I can really use that. But maybe I actually can sort of like create a version of this. I wasn't going to do it at first, but that's actually a good idea. By the way, I'm doing this in like real time. Okay, so the next step is I'm going to actually head over to Canva and actually create the thumbnails. So this is my thumbnail document. It has all of my thumbnails that I've ever created on YouTube in one. And like I said, I create 3 thumbnails per video. And then after that, I usually test all 3 of them to see how they work. Okay, and in Canva, it already has sort of like all of my photos that I've ever taken. By the way, I usually do a thumbnail photo shoot, which I've explained this concept in a few of my other videos. But basically with that is about every 3 months now, I change out my actual shirt, maybe like 3 or 4 times, and because I actually batch create my videos as well. So after I batch create my videos, every 3 to 6 months, I will actually batch create some new thumbnail poses. So as you can see here, like, and this is the only thing that bothers me about this is when I first started the batch creating thumbnail process, my hair was like very short, and now it's like getting longer, so it's like but I don't really think anybody cares about that, so it's not my biggest concern right now. Okay, back to actually designing the thumbnail. So all of my thumbnails have the same background, so what I'll do is I'll actually just duplicate this, and then I'll drag it to the bottom. I'll drag it to the end here, and what I'll do is I'll just delete everything that's on this thumbnail except for the background, because I use the same background in every video almost. And I'll just duplicate this 2 or 3 times because I'm creating 3 thumbnails today for one video. Okay, so the first one we're gonna do is we're gonna sort of like do this thumbnail right here. So now I have to find sort of like 2 photos. Okay, and it's gonna be from shy to confident. Okay, so we're gonna go over here to get sort of like a frame for the photo. So here we go right here. So now I have to find 2 photos to go inside of here. I'm gonna think about this. Okay, so there's like 2 ways that I can sort of do this. I can either go back and find maybe like me in an old video, and then use a screenshot from me from a new video, or I can sort of like do photos. So I'm gonna see what I can do. Okay, so I found one of my older videos. I don't know. I don't think this, personally for me, I don't think this is like bad enough of a photo to be comparing to what I do now, because I actually don't think the picture was that bad. Maybe I can just literally just like grab the screenshot from here. Okay, so I guess these are the 2 photos that I ultimately chose, but I'm actually going to do a different set of photos because they're like 2 different sizes and it's bothering me. So we'll put this one here, and then we will look for another one of like everybody's photos in here. Everybody and their grandma. Let's find the other photo. Okay, so we could either do this photo. No, that's definitely not the same size. Maybe do this one. Okay. So we'll do these 2 photos maybe. Okay, now we're gonna get the arrow from over here. I don't like that arrow. This is like the main arrow that I use right here. Okay, so this arrow is also barely seen. We might just have to have a red arrow here, even though this is not my colors. Okay, maybe we can do white. Okay, so this thumbnail looks a little bit better than this one, so we'll probably use this one right here. And this video actually has to do with my hair, so this video talks about my hair, so this will probably actually be fine. And yeah, I wanted to sort of like explain the method that I'm doing here, and it's basically called thumbnail hacking. So it's the same sort of like method that news reporters, or like basically pages that share information, it's the same sort of like technique they use. So if you ever notice, if you look at like news pages, gossip pages, then you notice that they'll literally all post like the same sort of like articles, and they'll use the same exact headline. And it's the reason why is usually because if one thing if it did well and it performed well on another page, and it will likely do well and perform well again. So that's typically why they do that. And I basically apply the same concepts to thumbnails. So that's why it, one, doesn't take me very long to create them, unless I'm looking for photos like I just did. Oh, and, or, two, you don't necessarily have to be a designer to create these thumbnails, because you're just basically kind of like putting your own twist on thumbnails that you already see. Okay, so the second thumbnail that I'm going to want to try is I'm actually going to try to grab a screenshot from my actual video, because I have actually seen that just little screenshots of your video, they can sometimes also perform well. So this is one of the ways that you can actually get your thumbnails from your video, is you can search up grab screenshot from YouTube video and you can upload it. And this is like one of the ways you can do it. So it's like that. So I'm just going to download this one and then head over back to Canva and go ahead and bring that over. Okay, so this is literally going to be my second thumbnail. Okay, and the last thing I'm going to do is grab that thumbnail that I actually said inspired me earlier that was in my assignment board, and I'm going to ask ChatGPT, how can I make a thumbnail like this that applies to my channel, and see what it says. And then it literally gave me like a few more options. So instead of, rich mode, which I guess could kind of go with my thumbnail as well, but it said on camera mode, brain hack, fearless mode, toggle on. I rewired my brain. And it says, if I don't want a techie brain hack theme, I could do before and after, nervous versus confident. I did that already. Mind map, a glowing brain with confidence related words. Interesting. I'm not exactly sure how that would look. And then a hypnosis look. So like swirls, a mind control sort of like vibe. I was actually thinking about that, but I really do like this idea. So let's see, which one are we gonna do? I'm just gonna ask it to give me a few more ideas of words I can use, but I just want 2 words. So confidence hack, camera mode, fearless switch. I like that one, fearless switch, mind reset, camera ready, lights on. That's kind of cute. It's funny. Stage mode, confident flow, camera ready. Okay, I'm gonna think about this for a second. Okay, I'm actually going to say what's 2 words that I can use to get a curiosity gap, because ultimately that's what I want with my thumbnail. I want a curiosity gap. Just doing this, I'm thinking that maybe I could use the 2 words like cheat code, and let me know down in the comment section, what 2 words would you use for this thumbnail? I'm curious. Okay, we're gonna go back over here and get a photo to put over here on the side. And we don't want like a happy photo. I think we want like a photo with a straight face. See if I can find one of those. Straight face, straight face, straight face. Okay. Here's a photo with a straight face. So we're gonna copy paste that. Bring it down here. And then we're actually going to grab our text from up here to make sure it's the same font as the other ones. Let's see. Cheat code. We are actually, let's see if we can find a toggle over here. found it. Let's see if we can make it fit. Okay, so what I'll most likely have to do is delete that. Make this bigger. And then, okay. It's going to keep putting the period there, so we're just going to have to C and then put the E down here. And code isn't even like this long of a word, so we'll make cheat bigger. And I want to move this over a bit without moving me. And then now we'll look for like a plug. Okay, so I found this sort of like electric wire. So we have to make sure that everything is layered right. I guess the cord will be over cheap because it looks a little weird. Okay, now. Okay, we found a different wire. I'm gonna go to layer one more time. Definitely feel like this should be a different color, but I don't know what to put it for now. See if we can get the same color as this. And then we also want it to sort of like glow. So, okay. So, yeah, basically those are my 3 thumbnails for this video. Now I might go in here, play around with it a little bit later, right before I upload it, just to see if there's anything that I want to change. But yeah, I basically created each of these thumbnails in under 10 minutes, probably less because this video is not that long to begin with. So yeah, I'm pretty much done here. These are the 3 thumbnails that I am going to test for my YouTube video. And this is the same exact process that I take every single thumbnail through every single month. So if you have any other questions about thumbnails, then you could definitely comment it below. But if you stayed here to the end, thank you for watching.